Hey there, hi there, ho there, Facebook friends and enemies, whatever. We're back live, backstage at the 2016 Chicago Food Tank Summit at the Gleacher Center in Chicago, Illinois. Thank you so much for watching. I know a lot of you have been watching a lot of these different interviews, and we keep rolling. We've got a ton of people at the event who do all kinds of things in the food world, and I want to remind people, first of all, let's get to the point that this is the final summit of 2016, but there are more next year. You can go to foodtank.com and find out about summits next year in DC, in Boston, and Los Angeles. So if you're watching from any of those areas and you want to participate, you have the opportunity. We want to thank Organic Valley for sponsoring these live streaming interviews backstage. And we want to remind people that with the hashtag FoodTank, you can participate. We've gotten conversations started and we've gotten questions from our viewing audience, and we appreciate that. Please ask anything you want, make a comment. We'd love to include it in these short interviews. My name is Mike Novak, and I'm the host of The Mike Novak Show in Chicago. You can go to mikenovak.net, MikeNowak.net, or go to The Mike Novak Show on Facebook, at Mike Now on Twitter. By the same token, you can go to @food_tank on Twitter and post your comments there. You can go to Food Tank on Facebook and see some of the stream, or you can go to Danny Nierenberg to see some of the stream. So we got a lot going on, and I want to get to the next guest, Jonathan Pereira from The Plant and Plant Chicago. Plant Chicago is in The Plant, and there's a difference, and he has pointed that out to me because we have a history here. It's a good history, folks. Believe me, it's a good history. We're working together on an event, but as you need to make clear, Plant Chicago is slightly different from The Plant, so why don't you explain each?
Sure. So a lot of people are probably familiar with The Plant. The Plant is a building. It's a project. It's actually a for-profit, nonprofit partnership to create a closed-loop food system. In its essence right now, what you have is over a dozen food businesses in the building, all for-profit, and you have a building owner and developer. The key component of that project is constructing an anaerobic digester in the back,
which I have seen, yeah. and it looks like a tank car, a railroad tank car, that just sort of sidled up next to the building there, but you will process how much in it?
Well, it's essentially a large metal intestine that can take up to 16 tons of food waste a day.
And turn it into methane?
It's a methane. So methane is a fuel source, either to offset natural gas production, or you could use it to power a combined heat and power system to produce electricity and supply heat to the building as well. Mm-hmm. So then you have this building called The Plant. But within it, you also have a nonprofit, Plant Chicago. And our mission is to develop circular economies. At a very basic level, a circular economy is best defined by what it is not, contrasting with a linear system. Mm-hmm. So we as individuals and businesses, we all operate within a system, but we think very straight lines. Right. What we take in and what goes out. And we don't necessarily we think a lot about what comes in, but we don't think a lot about what goes out. Yeah. So in a circular economy, the key component to that is decoupling economic growth from infinite resource consumption. Uh-huh. The thing, and you'll hear a lot about this in agricultural communities as well, is we know that we're living in a world of finite resources, but we're operating in a way that we're just infinitely consuming, as if there are an infinite amount. There's an infinite amount of phosphorus that we can use for our agricultural systems.
You say linear system, but I think of it as wasteful system, and because, as you mentioned, you're consuming your resources and you're not replacing them.
Yeah, so again, I think there's two words that we have to really redefine if we're going to move toward a circular economy. One is waste. Waste is an inefficiency. It's also it's an opportunity, right? So as we think in a linear system, we think about waste as all the stuff we don't want anymore. But that stuff is stuff that can be used again. There's nutrients in a food system. The waste in our food system, if we send it to a landfill, that's where it becomes waste. it doesn't get used there. But if it goes into an anaerobic digester, if it can then be composted again, if it can get that nutrient can get back out to the agricultural systems where it started, that is when you actually start creating the circular economy. And another component, another word that I really like to target is this idea of a consumer. So we have a consumer in the ecological sense and a consumer in the economic sense. So we as consumers, in an ecological sense, consumers play a really valuable role. We're providing nutrients back into the soil, right? That's where the decomposers get those nutrients, recombine them so producers can use them, and then we can eat the producers or other consumers. But in economic sense, we take that word literally as like just going one way. We like to put all this stuff in our bodies and don't think about where those nutrients go after it, as long as it gets away, partly because it's gross.
Well, as I have learned over the years, and it really I try to teach people, and I'm sure you do as well, there's no such thing as away anymore. There never was, really, but when people say, well, we throw it away, we are a throwaway society. The problem is, where is away? And away is always someplace, whether it's a landfill, whether it's dumped in the ocean, which we have done in the past and sometimes still gets happened.
Yeah.
It's not sustainable.
No.
We toss that word around, but this is the ultimate in non-sustainability. I want to mention something to folks too who are not from Chicago, or even people in Chicago who have not been to Plant Chicago or down to the plant on the south side. And it's on the south side, and it's a 90,000 square foot former meat packing plant that they've refurbished, and you're still
Sure.
working through the building. I mean, that's a lot of space. You have reused a lot of the materials that were in there to begin with, and that's part of that closed loop system as well. It just because a lot of times people go through a building like that and they'll grab all that stuff and they'll throw it out someplace, get it to the landfill or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. So within this building, right, there's a culture that's evolving as well, and there's a community. So you have the for-profit developer, Bubbly Dynamics, who purchased the building and has been doing that process of restoring or repurposing the building and not throwing anything away, not sending anything to the landfill. And when you visit, you'll see piles of materials. Like that's just materials that's looking for a new home. So instead of just crushing out a wall or destroying the bricks, right, it's salvaging those bricks or the block windows, even some of the foam insulation, trying to save that.
Figure it out. You guys are trying to figure that out. That's great.
And so within that, you also have this ethos of people coming into the building who are attracted to that. So it really helps. Thinking about a cultural shift, you can start with at the facility level, is that businesses and individuals that enter that space start thinking that way as well. And so when there's projects like Plant Chicago runs a year-round farmers market, it's not really just a farmer's market. It's a tool that you can use to start to engage people in these practices over and over again. So if you can get people from all over the city, or even more importantly, just from the back of the yards community where we're located, coming and supporting these local businesses, or being a vendor there as well, that's when you start having behavioral changes. This ongoing interaction with this system and this ethos of not just operating sustainably, but thinking about where your output from your business goes.
I'm getting the wrap sign here, so we have to wrap it. Jonathan Pereira from Plant Chicago. You can go to plantchicago.org. Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter at Plant Chicago, and Facebook, Plant Chicago Not-for-Profit. And then our next we run a year-round farmers market.
And that's a new development. I want to make sure we get that in before we break here. It's really important to keep farmers markets going all year round, and this is something that's going to help you sustain the businesses at Plant and just keep visibility and the circular economy.
Yeah, it keeps the movement going as well.
Yeah.
The indoor season is particularly exciting because there's very few farmers markets that run year round, and certainly I'm not aware of any in Chicago where you can also get the product that's grown on site year round. So in January and February, you can still get greens that are grown there as well.
But we haven't even gotten into the brewery that's there, the bakery that's there, the aquaponics that are there, and they all play into this stuff. Yeah. So you need to investigate that yourself. Thank you for watching our Facebook live stream. I'm sorry, I apologize, Facebook. Facebook live stream from the 2016 Chicago Food Tank Summit. We have more interviews coming up. #FoodTank. Write us your questions and comments. I'm Mike Novak. We will be back in just a little bit.